Alright guys, going to be going over the Archon Wizard today. Just cleared a Greater Rift 108 with it. This is a breakdown of your abilities. You want to use Arcane Torrent Static Discharge only because it has the highest attack speed ratio than Arcane or Ray of Frost Disintegrate. You're going to be using this to get your Chantoto's Force up. This is going to be your essential damage dealer in this build. You're using Archon Slow Time. You want to use the Cold Ruin because your Cold Ruin is going to be dealing cold damage, freezing, and stunning enemies. Your Black Hole Absolute Power is going to be giving you an increased damage on your cold spells. You want to pop this on a big pack of enemies right before you go into them. If you're having issues with toughness, you can use Black Hole Spell Steal. This is going to make all the enemies take 10% reduced damage for 5 seconds on you and gives you the same effects essentially as Absolute Zero. 3% increased damage for 5 seconds. This will last a little bit longer, but this will be a good damage reduction and damage increase. You're going to be using Energy Armor, Force Armor. Don't get tricked into using Storm Armor, Power of the Storm, or Scramble, or Ice Armor, Crystallize. The reason why you want to use this is because it increases your armor by 35%. Not only that, but all attacks won't deal more than 35% of your maximum life. So if you're running a Greater Rift, especially when you're out of your Archon form, you're going to take increased damage and essentially get one shot. However, this will make it so that you can only take 3 hits before dying, giving you that extra second for your Templar to heal you or for you to proc your potion. You're going to be using Teleport Safe Passage. If you're running anything lower than Greater Rift 90 or you're geared up fairly well, you can run Wormhole, which isn't necessarily needed. Reversal you could use going in and coming right back out, but typically Safe Passage for the damage reductions. And then you want to use Magic Weapon Deflection. You can also use Force Weapon to give you a little extra boost in damage if you're just killing everything really fast. However, I would not recommend it because even at Torment 16, you're dying fairly fast. You're going to want to use Evocation for cooldown reduction on Archon, Unstable Anomaly for your cheat death, which I found will save my life more times than not. When you're out of your Archon form, you're extremely squishy, only sitting at about 15 million toughness, maybe a little bit more if you have your Archon stacks up. Galvanizing Ward, you're going to be using, giving you that extra shield. You want to stack a ton of vitality to get that shield up. Right now you can see mine's 430,000. And then Unwavering Will, standing still for 1.5 seconds, increases all these attributes. Typically with a wizard you get intelligence, so you want all the resistances, and then you want the armor from it as well. As for your gear, you're going to run the basic Veer set. The helm, the shoulders, the gloves, the chest, the legs, the boots. When you're running low levels, typically you want to use your intelligence gems along with the cooldown reduction gem. I use Gogaku Swiftness for more cooldown reduction and attack speed, and you're going to use Bane of the Trapped. Slowed enemies take that increased damage, and you're going to use Pain Enhancer. Now, Pain Enhancer you're only going to want to use at low Greater Rift levels, probably on anything under 100. And the reason why I say that is because when you get to high tiers with Rift bosses, you can clear trash really easily with Pain Enhancer. But when you go to kill the Rift boss, he's not going to die very fast because there's not a lot of enemies to get that bleed effect that will give you Blood Frenzy, granting you the 3% attack speed for each enemy. You're going to want to use an Insidia Ring of the Zodiac. Try to roll high cooldown reduction and high attack speed. You are technically better off putting this in the cube. However, I did not have a convention of elements with a 200% roll. And that's simply because of how it drops and rolls. Typically, attack speed, critical hit damage, critical hit chance. On a Ancient, you may want to go for Intelligence over Attack Speed, but Attack Speed stacks really well with Chantoto's Will. Chantoto's Will, every second while in Archon form, you expel a wave of destruction, dealing 4,000% weapon damage to enemies within 30 yards. This scales with attack speed. This is why we wanted to stack attack speed. Every time you hit with an attack while not in Archon form, 4,000% weapon damage added to the wave of stacking up to 20 times. So just for a little bit of a tip, anything below Greater Rift 80, you only need about 10 stacks, maybe 5 if you're doing like Torment 7, Torment 8, to kill everything that you just come across. Typically, when I'm running Torment 16, I get my 10 stacks, I go into Archon form, I run around, get my stacks up, and then I just rinse and repeat. This is doable with not only Fazula's Improbable Chain, where you get 49 up to 50 stacks of Archon, but the Swami. The bonuses from Archon stacks now last for 20 seconds after Archon expires, which is really good for this build. Now, if you're switching the Obsidian Ring with conventional elements, obviously you're going to want to cube one or the other. Typically, though, you want an Ancient, so that way you can use your Caldescence to spare on it. Your Ashnagar Blood Bracer is going to be giving your increased potency on your shields. I have seen people use, what's the skill? They will use Dominance instead of Unwavering Will for a little extra toughness, because each of your enemies that die give you a 2% life on a shield, which with Ashnagars is pretty good. You also want to use on your gloves. You want to have cooldown reduction, crit chance, crit damage, obviously. Typically speaking, though, if you can get an Ancient set to roll, you want to re-roll the Intelligence for attack speed, and then Caldescence to spare it with the highest gem you could possibly get. The cooldown reduction and attack speed alone are two vital things, along with the damage you're getting from the crit hit chance and the crit hit damage. But if you can't get the attack speed roll, that's fine. It's not a deal breaker. In your shoulders, you want a cooldown reduction, you want vitality, intelligence. I would recommend going for area damage if you're stacking a lot of enemies, but if you're not, go for a little bit extra toughness with life percent or armor. I would not recommend getting Resol on any of your gear, simply because without intelligence, you get passive resistances. It's one of the things that intelligence gives you. So when I'm running higher keys, I'll swap out my topaz for my rubies to give me some extra armor, or dexterity gems, whichever you prefer. Your boots, you want to go intelligence fit, Resol armor, avoid movement speed. You're not going to be stacking any skill damages on this build whatsoever. Use your movement speed and your paragon points. Typically you want to 25% and then go full intelligence. If you're finding yourself having problems keeping your arcane power up because you didn't roll, arcane power on crit, go for some max arcane powers before you go for your intelligence. Otherwise, attack speed, cooldown reduction, crit damage, crit chance. Defense, you want armor first, then life, Resol, life regen. Utility, area damage, resource cost reduction. Two really big things, and then life per hit and gold fine. Now life per hit, I will say, is not going to really help you until you're out of your Archon form, because you're not spending any resource while you're in your Archon form. You're just casting Archon abilities. Now, if you are pushing higher greater rifts, you do want to use a Bane of the Stricken instead of your Pain Enhancer. This will help you kill elite bosses really fast. Your amulet, you want cold damage, critical hit chance, and a socket. Movement and parrying effects isn't bad. I happen to get lucky on this roll, and it will help when you're outside of your Archon form. On your Chantota's Force, it is essential you get reduced cooldown and critical hit grant for arcane power, along with the critical chance. This is a good roll. If you can get something better than that, that's great. And then your Chantota's Will, you want cooldown reduction, attack speed, and intelligence. No life per hit, no percent damage. Simply speaking, that's the best stats you can get, because attack speed is what you need for this build. Other than that, if you have any questions, you can go ahead and check out the video ahead that has me pushing a Greater Rift 108. This build is usable anywhere from 75 on up, and its speed clears really fast. Even before you get your Caldescence, you can easily push Greater Rift 90s. So, enjoy!
Our opponents may be strong, but I will not stand down! Not ready. Still waiting. ready yet.